Okay, so we are getting into the final portion of the Atma Bodha. So last few verses, we were seeing the nature of absolute reality or the Brahman. So we saw that a lot of verses, at least 6 verses, tells that this is how the Brahman or the absolute reality needs to be understood. So we'll continue that discussion. So we have 8 more verses. So we will cover 4 verses today, 4 verses next week, maybe one more session, which recaps the entire Atma Bodha. And then we can take a small break. And when we come back, definitely we can go to Isha Upanishad. So this is the plan. So Anu, I would start with some chanting because last week we covered up to verse 60. So let me just fast forward to 60 and then we can get started. So Anu, if you could chant verse 60, 61 to 64, that would be great.
Yes, Radheshya.
Thank you.
Yadbhasa bhasyaterkadi bhasyairyattu na bhasyate yena sarvamidam bhati tat brahmetyavatharaye swayamantarbahirvyapya भासयन्नखिलं जगत् ब्रह्म प्रकाशते वह्नि प्रताप्ताय सपिण्डवत् जगद्विलक्षणं ब्रह्मा ब्रह्मणोऽन्यन्न किञ्चन ब्रह्मान्यद्भाति चेन् ब्रह्मान्यद्भाति चेन्मिथ्या यथा मरुमरीचिका दृश्यते श्रूयते यद्यत् ब्रह्मणोऽन्यन्न तद्भवेत् तत्त्वज्ञानाच्च तद्ब्रह्मा Satchidanandamatvayam.
Beautiful. Let's chant verse 61 one more time.
Yadbhasa bhasyaterkadi bhasyairyattु na bhasyate yena sarvamidam bhati tat brahmetyavatharaye.
Beautiful. So let's come back. And do you remember what exactly is the topic we are in? The last line gives the answer. It tells Tat Brahma iti avatharaye. The Brahman needs to be understood like this. Tat Brahme iti avatharaye. This is how one needs to understand Brahman. Again, it goes back to our basic principle of Vedanta. The God is not to be merely believed in, but the God needs to be understood. In the absolute sense, the God is the Brahman, the reality, the existence of everything else. And no words are adequate to describe that totality of the Brahman, because I'm constrained by my own limitation, because I'm trying to understand Brahman with my limited skills and limited capacity. So it's no words are adequate. So each word, we said, it's a pointer pointing to one aspect of that Brahman, the reality. So these four verses are again four different viewpoints of that total or the absolute reality for making us understand. So here Shankaracharya tells, Yat phasa phasayate arkadi. I'm just breaking the words and telling. So when Anu chanted, she combined it based on the Santhi rules. So Yat phasa phasayate arkadi. The sun, Arka means sun. Arka Adi means all the bodies that emits self illuminating bodies. So the sun, the stars, to a certain extent moon, because even though it is a pradibimba, not a pradibha, still these are bodies which you look upon as self-illuminating. So he tells, Yat phasa phasayate arkadi. So he tells by whose light these self-effulgent bodies are shining. Typically, the sun illuminates everything, but the Atma or the Brahman cannot be illuminated by the sun because the sun itself is illuminated because of Atma or the Brahman. So again, I really want to take you to that dream metaphor. We saw last class, right? If you think that Ishvara's dream is world, that is wrong. This example has its own limitation, but this is a very good example that illuminates the concept. So if you really look at the dream world, who illuminates that dream world?
The dreamer.
Dream sun, right? When you look at the dream world, right? If you see light, it will be coming from a dream sun. Am I wrong? Take the same example. You are in Uttarkashi. You are sitting there. You can see the Himalayas. You can see the Ganges. Do you see the sunlight in that dream? And from where that light is coming from, at least in that relative space, from the dream sun. And that dream sun can illuminate almost everything you can touch and see in the dream world, except what? Actually, who is the creator or who is the underlying adhisthana of that dream? It is the waker. It is the waker's mind. The dream sun, even though it can illuminate almost everything in the dream world, the dream sun cannot illumine or cannot show the waker's mind. Because the dream sun itself comes out of that waker's mind. The dream sun itself exists in that waker's mind. And finally, the dream sun merges back to that waker's mind when the dream is over. So even though it can illuminate everything in the dream world, it fails to illuminate the reality that is in a different order of reality, which is the existence of this dream sun. Like that, the sun and the moon and the stars in this waking world can illuminate almost everything in this waking world. The mountains, the plant, everything can be illuminated by the waking sun or by a bulb or by a moon to a certain extent, by the stars. It is possible. But that sun, which can illuminate almost everything in this dream world, cannot illuminate the Brahman, the reality, which is in a different order of reality, but which is giving existence to this world. It's impossible. So if you just think about that, dream sun cannot illuminate the waker's mind. Like that, the sun in this world, the moon in this world cannot illuminate in this Ishvara or the reality. And he tells, Yat Pasa Pasayet Arkadi, by whose power the sun and the moon and the star can function. It can illuminate everything. Then he tells, Pasayet Yatu na Pasyatet. And no illuminating body cannot illuminate that. The Brahman, the reality, can illuminate everything, but it cannot be illuminated by anything. And then he tells, Yena sarvam idam bhati. Everything is illuminated by that. Understand Brahman like that. See, again, this is to lift our childish understanding of the God. This is the God we are talking. Look at the depth and the breadth of this idea. Amazing. So if you just ground yourself with that dream analogy, this is very simple. So I said in Kathopanishad, there is a mantra. And I said, when you go to temple, when you see an arati, you see a mantra. Typically, the mantra says, Natatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam nema vidyuto bhanti kutoyamasti tomeva bhantim anubhadi sarvam tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Such a beautiful mantra. It tells neither the sun nor the moon nor any other heavenly body can illuminate you. Then what about this small fire I am showing you? I gave you the background last time. In typical temple, in the sanctum sanctorium, there won't be much light. In olden days, there was no light. It has to be maintained like that. A very small lamp will be there. And that lamp will not illuminate the God completely or that Vigraha completely. So during this Arati time or this Deeparatana time, the priest take a bright lamp like a camphor there is a special vessel for that, and then skillfully the good priest, the one who knows these tantras, he will just show this camphor and illuminates each parts of the God. So that's how they should be doing the Arati. So your face is shown, your high hands are shown, like that each part of the God is revealed to you. So just like an Arati symbolizes what? This fire symbolically refers to the knowledge. So this knowledge can make the God experiential to you. But when you do that process of Arati, the priest sings this mantra of the Kathopanishad. It tells, neither the sun, nor the moon, nor the stars, or any heavenly bodies, or any source, even Vaidyuti, like the lightning, cannot illuminate you. Then what am I doing? What am I thinking of this small fire? How can it illuminate you? But symbolically, I'm just showing my helplessness. This beautiful mantra is chanted and the Arati is performed.
But why is that place, Sanctum Sanctorium, is kept so dark? Rajesh, is there any reason behind it?
Of course. Olden days, where was electricity?
Oh.
So that is how. And then this ritual was developed. That's it. But look at the beauty of this ritual. See, the rituals are fantastic when you understand it, when you have the bhavana for the ritual. Every mantras are brilliant if you understand it properly. But it's very sad to see, like before this COVID, I saw in one of the temple here, they were chanting Vishnu Sahasranama. While chanting the Vishnu Sahasranama, the priest themselves is texting and chatting in between and laughing to people, etc. So what bhavana is there? Sorry, it's not a criticism to anybody, but just let's not do that. So just like mechanically chanting the mantra and doing these rituals, better not do it. Why are you doing it? Right? It is done as an upasana. The whole purpose of the ritual is it is an upasana. It is to train my mind. And if my mind is not there when I do that, at least if I'm not making an attempt for my mind to stay there, what is the purpose? I see Satyanarayana pujas where the priest is just going on and on and on with the story. Everybody else is sitting behind and talking to each other. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, destroying other people's noble character. That's it. And then finally, when the arati comes, everybody jumping in. So this is what it is. I just brought that ritualistic portion just to show you the depth of this idea and how casually we are approaching these things. Anybody heard of that mantra in the arati? Anybody went to temple and listened to that mantra?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I remember from childhood, my mother used to say, I used to ask her that, how come the North Indian temple is all marble and white? How come South Indian temple is so dark? I don't understand. And also my mother used to say, you have to work hard. You have to show the bhakti bhavana to go towards him. So you have to work hard. And, she used to say, and we used to say, and my mother used to say this sloka all the time.
This sloka is so powerful.
It brings me tears. Yeah. Yep. You don't realize it when you're young, you hurt so much, and all of a sudden everything is clicking.
Right.
Very moving, very moving.
Yeah. And means another day we'll talk about these different North Indian temple versus South Indian temple versus Bengali temple, etc. So the temple follows certain scriptures or certain rules as their puja vidhi or the style of worship. So that's why it is different. So nothing is greater, nothing is lower, etc. For example, if as a child, if you used to attend all the South Indian temple and suddenly when you go to a North Indian temple, you may not get connected to that feeling. Vice versa. Like if you are completely used to go inside the sanctum sanctorium and try to do that, that is different. So it's all for our mind. Please understand that this is all for upasana. And upasana is to train my mind. It is to make my mind stable. And if you do a ritual properly, it is an ideal meditation because it involves the three karanas of us. Like it tells kaikam karma. When you do the puja, your bodies and the limbs will work. You chant the mantra, so it is kaikam karma, and then your mind is there in the God, so it is manasam karma. So it is a combination and an integration of this kaikam, vachikam, and manasam karma. So done properly, it can be really good. Not done properly, it becomes a mechanical act. And unfortunately, it has reduced to a mechanical act in a lot of places. So that's why I tell people, a lot of people say that I want to meditate 1 hour. I say you start with 1 minute. You won't believe I started my meditation with 1 minute. 1 minute I found myself easy. So in my phone, there is an app called Timer Plus. It's beautiful. So you can set different timer there. So you start the timer. I put 1 minute, 10 seconds. 10 seconds will go for you to get into that. But that 1 minute meditation, even though I do 5 minutes meditation or 10-minute meditation at the end of the day, but this 1 minute meditation, I do 3-4 times. And you know, it was so powerful, this 1 minute meditation. So prayer, 5 minutes prayer. That's what I do. 5 minutes prayer. That 5 minutes you give for prayer, nothing much. I'm not driving and praying. Of course I do that, but that 5 minutes dedicated time, your appointment with the higher is there. And that is what is the Deva Yajna. So that's how it should be approached. And you see benefit. Okay, so that's good. So that is this verse. Any questions? Otherwise, let's move to verse 62. Let me share.
स्वयमन्तर्बहिर्व्याप्य भासयन्नखिलं जगत् ब्रह्म प्रकाशते वह्नि प्रतप्ताय सपिण्डवत्.
Another beautiful verse with another brilliant example. So if I break the words, it tells Swayam Antar Bahar Vyaptam. Swayam means by itself, not by the help of anybody else. Swayam. Then it tells Antar Bahar Vyaptam. Andar means inside, Bahar means outside. So where is God in this universe? Is he sitting in a isolated location called heaven? No. This verse brilliantly answers that. He tells, see, what exactly I have directly experiencing currently? The world around me. I'm not seeing a heaven. I'm not seeing a hell or any other world. What I'm seeing is this world. And understand that everything in this world, inside and outside, it is pervaded by Brahman, the reality, the God. Go back to the same example, Swapna Drishtandam. I'm sitting in that dream world. I'm seeing the mountain. I'm seeing the Ganga. I'm seeing the people around me. I'm seeing the sun and the moon and the star. Honestly speaking, what is that Himalaya there? Inside the Himalaya is the waker's mind. What is being shown as Himalaya is the waker's mind. Everything is waker's mind. So like that, Brahman, the reality, when you look at this world, the relative world of ours, I see a computer, I see a microphone, I see a pen, I see a book, I see the walls around me. Inside and outside of these objects are nothing but the Brahman, the reality. That is why Swayam Antar Bahar Vyapya. Vyapya means pervaded. Vyapya, Vyapaneti iti Vishnu. That is what it is. Then it tells Pasayan Akhilam Jagat. Not only just inside and outside, it pervades. In fact, it illuminates the entire world. It makes the world dynamic. Right? The world is not static. It is 100% dynamic. The sun is spinning, the earth is spinning, everything, the season changes, and I'm conscious of myself, and everybody else is conscious of themselves. Everything is happening. So inside and outside it perverts, and it makes everything happening. So this inert world appears to be non-inert because of Brahman. And that is why Shankaracharya tells in the third line, Brahma prakashate. Everything is illuminated or make active, animate by Brahman. Then he gives a brilliant example. Vakni praptat aya pindavat. Pinda means lump. Aya means iron. So a lump of iron, a rod of iron appears to be red. Is that redness is the inherent property of iron? No, because that redness is a borrowed feature from fire. So like that, even though I see a fully animated world, I see people conscious, I see intelligence everywhere, everything comes from Brahman, the reality. That is what is indicated. We need to understand Brahman like this. See, these verses from 54 means this 56 to this 68, 66. You need to understand this thoroughly. You cannot see better definition, better explanation of God more than this anywhere. So this is what it is. Soyam antar bahar vyapya phasayan akhilam jagat brahma prakashate vakni praptavat aya pindavat. That is example given. Now let's see next two verses. You can see in this picture, this redness is completely of the fire. Even though the iron appears to be red, the redness is the property of the fire. Let's go to the next verse.
Okay, sorry. Jagat vilakshanam brahma brahmanonyanna kinchana brahmanyat bhati chen mithya yatha marumarichika.
Another wonderful example. But what is the problem with examples? I think I talked about this. Every example has its own defect also. Every example is used to bring one aspect. But if you think the example is the absolute, that is always wrong. So here, a brilliant example is given, but often this example is misinterpreted. So that's why I'm just making that word of caution. So I'll explain the example. You tell me what is the defect of this example. This example is perfect just to show that what is discussed, one aspect. But every example will fail to grasp the Brahman in its entirety. That we know. So let's see. He tells Jagat Vilakshanam Brahman. So there is nothing other than Brahman. Vilakshanam means other than. Jagat, the entire universe, is nothing but Brahman. The whole dream universe is nothing but the waker's mind. So the entire world is nothing but Brahman. Then he tells Brahmano anyan na kinchana. Kinchana means even a little. So in this world, even there is nothing even as a small quantity other than Brahman. So everything in this world, good, bad, indifferent, everything is nothing but Brahman. In the dream world, every object in the dream world is nothing but the dreamer's, the waker's mind. Like that, everything in this universe is nothing but Brahman, the reality. Then he tells, Brahma anyat bhati cha en mithya. There is, other than Brahman, everything else is mithya. Please understand the word Satyam, Mithya. Can you tell me what is Mithya and what is Satyam?
Mithya is Maya.
But what is Mithya? Like Maya is again a technical term.
Mithya is unreal.
What is unreal then?
Not Brahman.
Illusion.
That is the wrong interpretation. Illusion means that doesn't have an existence at all, right? So that is the common misunderstanding of Mithya.
Relative.
Yeah, relative. It has a relative existence. So if somebody asks you whether there is an existence of the pot, what do you say?
Yes.
Yes. If somebody asks you whether there is an existence of this world, yes. So the actual definition is Satyam means abadhitam Satyam. Right? That which is not dependent upon anything else for its existence is called Paramarthika Satyam. So the Brahman, the reality, is not dependent upon anything for its existence. Trikala abadhitam Satyam. And that Satyam will be there in the future. It was always there in the past. It is there in the present. And it will be there in the future. There is absolutely no change for the Satyam always. So that is Satyam. Mithya means if it is it has a relative existence, but its existence is dependent upon something else. So we can say that the pot has an existence, but what exactly the pot existence is dependent upon?
Clay.
Clay. So if I remove the clay from the pot, nothing exists. If I remove the water from the waves, nothing exists. If I remove the gold from a golden chain, nothing exists. So that is what is called Mithya. Then there is a third category called illusion. And what is that illusion is called in Sanskrit? Tucham. Tucham. So we need to understand these three technical terms. Satyam, Mithya, Tucham. Satyam means it is absolute reality. Absolute reality means it is always remains the same. And it exists all period of time. And it is not dependent upon anything else for its existence. Whereas Mithya is known as relative reality or transactional reality. It is called as Vyavaharika Satyam. Again, it is Satyam because it is my experience. First one is called Paramarthika Satyam. And the third category is known as Pradipasika Satyam. It exists only in my mind. It is illusion. So the three orders of reality the Vedanta identifies is absolute reality, Paramarthika Satyam, relative reality, Vyavaharika Satyam, or transactional reality or relative reality or empirical reality. This is what they call different terms. And then illusionary reality, which is called Pradipasika Satyam. So here he tells Brahma Anyat Bhati Cha and Mithya. Everything other than Brahman is Mithya, because everything else is dependent upon Brahman for its existence. So you see a world, you're experiencing a world, but the real existence of that world is nothing but Brahman. And then he uses an example, Yatha Maru Marichika. So Maru means desert. Marichika means mirage. So when you walk through a desert, you see that there is a water source. So even though you see a water source, it is actually the Maru. In fact, you're seeing the actual desert as a water source. That's all the intent of this example. So then people start thinking, what is the defect of this example? People think that the world is like a mirage, because mirage doesn't have any real existence. Mirage is a good example of this illusionary reality, which is tucham, but they try to equate that with mithya. So people think that this world has no meaning, you can reject it, you can better go to sannyasa. So which is a misinterpretation. That's not the intent. That's why I try to cover the meaning of satyam, mithya, and tucham. So every example, we need to be very careful. That's why this needs to be taught by a traditionally trained teacher. Otherwise, this example, if you think in a different way, this example can be counterproductive. Okay, but this, look at the theme covered by this verse. It's so brilliant. It tells there is nothing but Brahman. There is nothing but Brahman. That's why I said, like, when the Christians say there is only one God, Vedanta tells what? There is one God, adding one more thing. There is only God. It's such a beautiful idea. Okay, so let's cover one more verse, and then we may have some time for some quick question answers also. Okay. Could you please chant, Anu?
दृश्यते श्रूयते यद्वत् ब्रह्मणोऽन्यन्न तद्भवेत् तत्त्वज्ञानाच्च तद्ब्रह्मा सच्चिदानन्दमद्वयम्.
Again, a beautiful verse. It tells the nature of the Brahman. So the last line, look at the last line. What is the nature of that Brahman? Satchidanandam Advayam. Advayam means non-dual. So when you look at the world, there is no two things. We found that in the previous verse. Inside it is Brahman, outside it is Brahman. There is nothing in this world other than Brahman. So everything is Brahman. Can you think about this in the dream analogy? Everything in this dream world is nothing but waker's mind. So there is a unity in that diversity. So if you really look at the dream world, millions of matter is there. But honestly speaking, we know that all that millions of matter is nothing but the waker's mind. So like that, when you look around this world, there is billions of different expressions are there. But we know that they are nothing but one and non-dually one Brahman. And what is the nature of that Brahman? Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means existence. Existence of the Himalayas in the dream is nothing but the waker's mind. The consciousness the people shows in the dream is nothing but the waker's mind. And exactly like that, the Brahman is Satchidananda, and it is one and non-dually one. And then he tells what? In this world, drishyate, whatever you see or whatever you perceive is nothing but Brahman. Then he tells Shruyate, whatever you hear is Brahman. Whatever you see is Brahman. Whatever you hear is Brahman. Yet, in this world, right? Everything you see or everything you experience is nothing but the Brahman, the reality. Brahmano anyan na. Oh, beautiful, right? So, na bhavante. There is nothing other than Brahman. Think about that dream analogy. It becomes very clear. There is nothing in this world other than Brahman, the reality. Tattvajnana tad Brahman. So, Tattvajnana, the person who understands that, the person who understands the truth like that, that Brahman, he sees this Brahman as Satchidanandam and Advayam. He sees this Brahman as one and non-dually one, and also he sees this as Satchidananda, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. It's so beautiful, right? Think about this in a larger perspective. It's amazing. So the bottom line is only one. If I summarize this whole verses into 2-3 lines, you have to think about the two orders of reality. One is the absolute order, which is typically we refer as transcendental nature of the God. There is no world, there is no change, there is only one reality. And then there is an immanent aspect of the God, which is the manifestation of this entire world. In other words, there is an absolute order of reality, Brahman, the reality, and then there is a relative order of reality, which is the world. The relative order of reality, the world, comes from the absolute order of reality, the God or the Brahman, and it exists in that absolute order of reality. And finally, it goes back to that absolute order of reality. So the relative order of reality, it comes and goes, but the absolute order of reality stays always. And everything in this relative order of reality is dependent upon the absolute order of reality. And in these verses, few verses, Shankaracharya was trying to explain. Sitting in a relative world, he was trying to explain what is the absolute. Through finite words, he was trying to describe what is infinite is. That is the beauty of these verses. So 4 more verses, we will be covering this Atma Bodha. So this is such a beautiful text, means that's why I like this text even better than the Tattva Bodha, because it gives a lot of clarity. So we covered up to verse 64, 65, 66, 67, 68 is going to talk about another topic. So from 54 to 64, we talked about the knowledge of the absolute reality. That is what we were covering. And now 65 to 68, it is going to talk about enlightenment. What is self-realization, or what is enlightenment? That is the final topic. And then we will conclude this. Do you like this book, Atma Bodha?
It's very nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah.
And you explained it very nicely too.
Yeah. So Rajesh, question.
Yeah, please.
You said Satyam was a paramatic Satyam.
Right.
But there's another word used, abadidam
Yeah.
satyam. What is that?
Right. Let me explain. So, see, satyam means truth. That's all, or the reality. These are the meaning. This truth or reality can be seen in multiple angle or multiple order. So Paramarthika Satyam or absolute reality means this is the absolute. This is the fundamental. It is true always. So Abadidam means that which cannot be negated, that which will not change, that will not come to an end. So that is what it means. So the second order of reality is called relative reality. So right now in your experience, there is world. So if somebody tells that the world is not there, it is not correct. So the world is a reality, but it is not absolute reality because the world had a beginning and definitely this world and myself will have an end. So it exists for a shorter period of time. And that is why it is called relatively real. It is not absolute real. It is relatively real. So again, that's a satyam. You cannot say that that is not correct. It is there. So that is why it is called relative reality. Then the third order of reality is known as illusionary reality. Illusionary reality means while you see a snake in a rope, your experience is what? There is a snake.
Snake. Okay.
But there is no, really speaking, there is no snake. So that reality is true, but it is true only in your experience. That's all. So these are the three orders of reality.
Okay.
So abadidam satyam means it is always true, which cannot be negated. Whereas the relative reality, it is true today, but tomorrow it may not be true.
So would the 10th man story also go as an illusionary reality?
It is an illusionary reality. It is an illusionary reality. Whether it is illusionary or relative, the sources of fear is there. So Vedanta tells 80% of human problem is based on illusionary reality. So Shankara brilliantly say, right? Srishti eva drishti, drishti eva srishti. One is I is on creation, drishti eva srishti. So it exists, therefore I see it. That is relative reality. Illusionary reality is what? I see it, therefore it exists.
Okay, okay.
I see as means, so as rope is there, it exists, therefore I see it. The rope exists, therefore I see it. It is relative reality. So I see a snake in a rope. So for me, what? I see it. So in my experience, therefore the snake exists. That is the illusionary reality. This is brilliantly explained by Shankara himself. So that's why he said, Srishti eva drishti, drishti eva srishti.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No questions?
Excellent.
That is a very good example, Rajesh. That you know, the Srishti and Drishti, and it's classic.
Yeah, it's a classic example. It's a
Yeah.
good old example.
Yeah, but
But you have to explain that with these orders of reality. Otherwise, if you just say snake and rope or ghost and post, we won't understand.
Yeah. The context is very, very.
It's very the back. How do you present that example? That's why again the teaching tradition is very important. So we were so lucky to get. As I always say, the beauty of the Vedanta is not just the content. The content could be found even because if something is truth, you can means different masters will find it. But the teaching methodology, it's so beautiful, so unique.
So Rajesh, is there a dictionary of all the Vedantic terms that explains in English what they mean?
Good question. I have to check. Sanskrit, there is something called
Yeah,
Niruttam.
Sanskrit there is some, but I mean
Niruttam.
Vedantic is
Yeah,
totally
that is called
unique.
Niruttam. But English, I don't know. Like, I'll check. That's a good question. You kindle some good thought in me.
Okay, thank you.
That's interesting. Yeah. There should be something because modern world, like a lot of people try to do that, those things.
Yeah, it will be helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
you hear something, would like to understand what that means.
And the challenge is Sanskrit is context sensitive. So when you say, you may have to explain with context. For example, if the word, if you take dharma, how many meaning? Everything.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes these word get cross fertilization of cultures, right? This word goes out of Sanskrit and it comes to English, but sometimes I feel so sad. Somebody uses the word like nirvana so casually.
It's like bliss. Like I said,
Yeah,
Ananda
right.
is the bliss. Right.
Yeah, yeah. That's the bliss is not nirvana. Bliss
Yeah.
cannot be nirvana. So when you try to, it's so much deeply embedded Sanskrit word into a simple English translation. Sometimes these words are inadequate. Like, right, when these Indologists, when they came to India, like in 16th, 17th, 18th century, from Germany to India, they tried to study the Hindu culture from using their Greek metaphysical model. So Greek metaphysics had, as explaining in the Gita class, right? They see the religions as monotheistic, polytheistic, or pantheistic. They easily categorized Hinduism as polytheistic,
Yeah.
which is completely wrong. Now somebody else comes back and put it as monotheistic, that is also wrong. And if you think that it is only pantheistic, that is also wrong. Because you don't have a vocabulary, you don't have a word. So some of these words are non-translatable. You may have to use the same thing, or you may have to translate that as a sentence, not as a word. Otherwise, you may have to invent a new word. That's the challenge. Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, many words are like that.
Yeah, many words are like that. Many words are like that. Karma, Brahma, even every word, most of the words, because the Sanskrit is such a refined language. It's the problem as well as the greatness of Sanskrit.
Yeah.
What is the problem? When it is become too complex, it cannot be used for the ordinary day-to-day transaction. That's the problem. And even the Vedanta, see, this idea of the God, which challenges your intellect. So how can you teach this for the common masses? Which is difficult. And that is why all these Puranas came in, and with all the stories, sometimes contradictory stories, etc. So, but when we go beyond that, this is exactly what. That's why the Anta of the Veda is Vedanta, which is very, very profound teaching. Even now, it challenges your intellect. It's not like just the God created the world. And see, look at this Purana story, right? So the world was created, and where was the God? If you really literally take the story, the God was lying in an ocean. So it's all good stories, wonderful stories. That's it. Don't go beyond that. It's true in every culture, not just in Hindu culture. Christianity also, it's like, right? What did the God do? First day he created the world, second day he created the sky, the third day he created the sun. How is it possible? right? And the most funny, most interesting thing is that after working 6 days, God took rest on the 7th day. Right? My God, if the God himself get tired, what can you do? These are, of course, there is a deeper meaning, symbolic meaning. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying that people take this as literal, right?
Yeah.
So it tells Hiranyaksha took the earth and whole the world and went into the ocean. How is it possible? Come on, you have to grow. Let's grow. Let's understand these things. Anyway, these are.
Yeah, but this Atma Bodha is so precise and so many examples actually.
Upanishads are also like that. One Atma Bodha Upanishad. But Shankara's brilliance is he brilliantly came up with this book. It's only like a master like him can do this. Amazing.
So is it true, Rajesh, that Advaita non-dual Vedanta came with Sankaracharya?
No, no. Upanishad. See, Shankaracharya is the one who created this teaching methodology. Per Shankaracharya, the original vision of Upanishad is this. Ramanujacharya said the same Upanishad. He looked at it and he said, no, the vision is different. So Shankara just found Advaita in Upanishads. Whereas,
That's what I'm asking. Right.
Yeah,
So Advaita really came into by Shankaracharya's interpretation of the Vedanta.
it became popular at that time. But I would not consider like that, because see, Upanishad, if you take Ekam Eva Adhyutiyam, this is the Upanishad. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtinam mastani sarvabhutani nachaham chreva avastita. This is Gita, much before Shankaracharya. I don't know how can you interpret it otherwise, these verses. Ekam eva adhyutiyam, one and non-dually one.
Right. So then what did other masters do? Just
Other
gloss
masters,
over it?
means it's not fair for me to talk about that masters, but what I'm feeling is that they interpreted in a very limited manner. They didn't interpret the full scope. That's my personal interpretation. The Dvaita schools may have different logic, but I feel that, at least based on my limited knowledge, I'm failing to see why these are interpreted as duality. Certain things. It's very hard for me to understand.
Yeah, so once we study the Advaita school of thought, yeah, the duality approach, it seems totally different.
Yeah, it's not so wrong, but it is not the highest. That's all. So, as I always say, right, you can say that the wave is a child of ocean.
Of the ocean, yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Because the wave came from the ocean. It was sustained by the ocean. Finally, it goes back to the ocean. I can also say that the wave is part of the ocean. That is the Vishishtatvaita. And reality, the essence of wave and the water or the ocean is nothing but water. That is Advaita. All these are three different point of views. That's it.
Yeah, they all converge.
Yeah. So, different people looked at the truth from, that's why they say, right, Ekam Sat Vipra Bhuta Vatanti. That's it. People call it. So if you take the whole Abrahamic religions, they are dual. If you take the Vaishnavism, it is duality. So most common religious interpretation in the whole world is duality. Advaita Vedanta is very unique from that front. Good. Okay, so good discussion. So we will continue next week, but please join Saturday. Saturday is our International Day of Yoga celebration. Please join 10 a.m. I will send out the YouTube link. It's a wonderful program. It covers every aspect of yoga. Every aspect of yoga, like different disciplines of yoga, which is Bhakti Yoga. Dr. Swami Swarupananda of the Global Head of Chinmaya Mission is going to talk about Bhakti Yoga. So Dr. H.R. Nagendra, who is the head of the Indian Yoga Association, is going to talk about Dhyana Yoga. And Swami Chidananda Puri, one of the best, his knowledge is amazing. He is going to talk about Jnana Yoga. And yeah, so this is the key people, but there are different. I'll talk about Karma Yoga, but I don't belong into that group. But as a substitute, I had to go. That's it. Vikrant is going to talk about Laya Yoga, and somebody will talk about Hatha Yoga. Somebody will talk about different disciplines of apparently different disciplines of yoga. So then different yoga teachers and different people. This time we have, the beauty is we have the priest of this Ajmer Dargah is a Muslim, Salman ji. He's going to talk about the surrender to God. So that's also really good. It's good to listen him. So it's going to be a good program. Please pass it to your friends and family. It's a free event. So just pass it.
But Rajesh, all this is covered in the 3 hours?
No.
Or is 3 hours?
No. Actually, it is in different time zones because there is an India time zone program, there is a Europe time zone program, there is a US time zone program. 3 different sets. 58 speakers. Can you imagine?
No, but then the those 3-4 names which you called out, those are in the US time zone, or they are also spread across?
It is spread across, but Swami Swarupananda is US time zone. So and everything will be there in YouTube very soon.
It will be there on YouTube.
Yeah. So please watch whatever you can, and even the art, we have a wide range of people. From our team, Alexander is there. He's going to sing about Mother India. It's a beautiful song. So he's going to sing about that song. And then different cultures, different background, there are people.
And the US time zone is both Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 1.
Yeah, right. 10 to, sorry, I said 9 to 12. It's 10 to 1. Sorry.
10 to 1, right? Yeah, 10 to 1 both days.
Yeah, I'll put, before the event, I'll put that in our WhatsApp group also, so that you can have the link and everything. Or if you go to unitedconsciousness.co.in, you just register.
We'll get it.
Yeah, that is easy.
Yeah.
Excellent. This is such a massive event, and they worked a lot, because organizing this event of this scale is not easy.
Yes.
So a lot of people are working hard. So 58 people, speakers coordination itself is so difficult. And if you want 58 people, you have to approach almost 200 people. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. A lot of coordination.
Yeah, and we got great people like Swami Swarupananda and all. He is the global head of Chinmaya Mission. Not, it's very hard to get him. So thank God. Okay, so we'll close here. Anu, could you do the closing invocation?
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari